and what
This
format you
conference
want it
will
in,
now be recorded.
right? And they all give us different answers, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, if you get one answer, right, that'd be better, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of the way to think about this. That resilience working group I mentioned, I just as a comment, I don't think it's like open to new membership at this time. I don't remember all the details on how OCP works, but I'm pretty sure it's not like, it's not like
Anybody can.
this
Yes,
where we invite everyone in,
it
basically.
is a closed group. Yes, I
Yeah.
can
Okay.
confirm that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me do some more digging on my end. I appreciate the clarity that you guys provided.
Well, and
I know.
Alan, the way to look at it from, so I can't speak for your company, but I know you all provide telemetry that's interesting. And so one way you might decide that to approach this that might be fruitful is to say, how can I make it easy for someone who includes my IP in their chip to incorporate the data that my company is creating for them in some sort of package
Mhm.
that they can collect in the CPR. We're using Common Platform Error Record, so it's a binary error logging format that you can throw anything in. So you could have a way to put your company's stuff into a CPR log, and
Mhm.
then you would say, I'm going to build analysis tools, and when I see a log that contains my company's IP's logs, I can now process that and do something with it. And so the framework would, I would imagine, work for you. It's just a question of how you want to approach it.
I see. I see. And writing it out in the method that you're just describing. Okay.
Yes, and the beauty of it is you embed it in CPR. If it's binary, you don't have to expose what it is. Now, if you're talking to someone like us, we're kind of allergic to secrets. If we don't, because we want to make sure we're not letting customer data escape by some back channel or something. So,
Mhm.
we may, like each company you approach with your IP may have different security requirements for telemetry or whatever. But if you fit into the overall framework, you have at least a standard way to add your stuff
Yeah.
to whatever other logs are being gathered and a standard way to collect them up at the cloud because there's another group called CSM that is working on standard collectors.
Okay.
And so we care about the end, they care about the middle, and but it'll get to the end, and then if you don't have an analyzer that you're willing to share, people that are willing could send data back to you for you to look at. Or, but the classic problem we have is that if I'm a normal server vendor, I sell a machine, and customers will send some data back to me as a server vendor, but maybe not everything. Right? Certainly not everything. Right? There's some loss
Right.
and there's some unwillingness to send data back. But if we make it a standard error log that's used across the industry, I'm hoping that people will become comfortable with the notion that we're not recording customer secrets, we're not recording personally identifiable information. This is
Yeah.
kind of a standard way of doing things. And my dream, and I dream a lot, is that we would be able to make people comfortable so we can emit the stuff that we're collecting more, even for just a normal like data center customer to get it back to us so that we collectively as an industry have a better feel for what's going on in data centers.
I see. Yeah. Certainly want to get away from those things that don't have to be under NDA, right? And eventually there is a process to get there. I think it takes time. I'm not sure if we're there yet. Even with our company, there is a certain amount of
Yeah,
data that we're okay disclosing publicly, and
yeah,
there are certain things that we consider our IP. Um, Drew, if you have the time, I'd love to maybe pick your brain a little bit more offline and chat with you, and
sure.
if that's all right, I'd find some time with you.
Sure, sure. Now, one thing I would also say is the reason for the NDA discussion is that let's say that I find a problem with a particular silicon part. I'm not, I like we at Google find these problems. I want
Yeah,
to maintain a really good relationship with the silicon folks here. I'm not
absolutely,
going to just advertise their problem. I'm going to go to them
absolutely.
and say, I think I see something funny with your chip. What
Yeah,
do y'all think? And we'll collaborate. We want it to be collaborative. We want to collaborate and not freak out and get and help them fix their part. And so I think that that is easier to do in a small discussion company to company, and it's perfectly fine. The important thing is that the vendor who's manufacturing the part and designing the part gets the feedback to fix their problems. And that way they win, and that way we win, like we
100%.
as end users.
100%. Totally agree. Thank you. I
So
appreciate it.
I hope I haven't said anything out of line. The rest of you, keep me honest.
Well, silence
Sounds
is
fine to me.
acknowledgement.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Since you
Drew.
said it, will make it truth now. So, any other opens? Thank you for that question, Alam. And thank you, Vilas and Drew, for jumping in. Any other opens? If
I did want to mention, I don't see Antonio here. We did kick off the,
Antonio is here.
I'm
Antonio
here.
is?
Sure, I'm
Oh,
here.
oh,
Just
I'm so
fully
sorry,
quiet
Antonio.
today. Don't worry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say we had the first RAS API meeting. Yay! We got that work stream kicked off.
Yes.
And it was, I think we're still missing a few people who are in the process of getting the CLA signed. And I think there were some people that couldn't make it, but I don't know. It was a good discussion. Antonio, do you want to add anything to that, or Vilas, you were there?
I just want to add. Oh, go ahead, Phyllis. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I'm just glad we got it kicked off. So.
Yeah. So we had we record meetings, but they're also not open. They're on their CLA. So once you join us, you get access to our share drive. You can see the meeting there. And we're also trying to put all the things we discussed in the share drive so we can keep track. The time is it's a compromise for many time zones, so you'll see that it is really early for you guys that are in the US, not so bad for me or the East
Well,
Coast.
West Coast US, Vilas is fine.
It's fine. Yes,
I,
the
I
West
love the
Coast.
time slot. Yeah.
I know. I'm kind of in between, so I also love the time zone.
Oh, you're breaking up, Antonio. I need to say that again. So, Antonio, we lost a lot of what you said. But just so folks know, the reason we have the CLA is just because of intellectual property concern. Like this is just it's the standard OCP process for making sure that that if you contribute to the spec, you are going to let people use the spec. We would love for you to join. Oh, so I'm so sorry, Tony. I'm not trying to step on you. You're breaking up. We thought I couldn't hear you anymore.
Oh, sorry.
That was unreadable. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you finished correctly.
Channel
Are
is
we?
encrypted.
So we had a good discussion, and I think that we are excited to open this up and get feedback from more people. I think what we're going to end up doing over the next few meetings in the RAS API is really setting a few priorities and trying to figure out how we're going to tackle the problem. And they're really there's an in-band problem and an out-of-band problem, and so I think we'll probably tackle in-band first because I'm there and I care about in-band, and the people that care most about out-of-band aren't quite there yet. But as they get there, then we'll have the in-band discussions as well. But we just need better representation from the companies that care about it. So I think that's about it. Okay, it looks like are we ready to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, so I had some internet glitch, it seems, connection glitch. I had a topic we can call it an open, but you guys remember this document we used to work on, the requirements document? There's a little tail piece here which has references. And this, I'm trying to remember, I thought.
Is he breaking up for
Finish this,
everybody
but
else, or is it
Yeah.
just me?
am
No,
I looking at the
it's
wrong
everyone.
version or what's going on here? I do not
Yogesh,
see, I see a comment here
you're breaking up.
and no real references. Do we need references? If so,
So you guess
all
you're
right.
breaking. You guess you're breaking up. I would propose maybe we just put a link to the CPR spec, and we put a link to the document that Mark had. Like Mark Fletcher early on, there was a discussion about, hey, we're aligning around CPR. So there are a few of that document, and maybe just the CPR spec is a good starting point. We can go from, and we can just drop it. Anything else? I don't think we need much else. What do you all think?
Sounds good to me.
I think we probably should give a reference to this the BMC DMTF redfish interface spec, because we worked on that and there's a direct correlation here.
What does that spec look like? Can you refresh my memory, Anil?
Yeah, this is it's a redfish interface specifications, the part of the DAMTF working group, I guess.
Is this the thing that Jeff Otter helped us add?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And maybe the OpenBMC hardware manager proposal, since the hardware manager is in the drawing, so I can add that.
Yeah.
Okay, good call.
I think we should also include the PCIe UEFI spec reference, where there's a EINJ and all kind of interface definitions are defined to propagate the hast and BIST and all kind of tables.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I care. E and J may not be appropriate for this, but certainly CPRS, the definition for CPR is there, and APEI and the Hest and BERT. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, CPR definition is a different document. It's SMBIOS document.
No, CPR is defined in the ACPI spec and UEFI spec. It's kind of split across them.
Actually, you're right. It's kind of all the two different spec, but they all merge into. They all kind of become part of the.
Yeah, it's not SM bias though. It's ACPI UEFI, but that's fine. We can add those links. Yeah, I totally agree with that. That seems like a baseline.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to do it? Yogesh, you have the links?
Are you asking for the link to the CPRS? I know, never mind, something else.
Yeah.
I mean, we can find them. I'll need to go dig up some of these links, but
Yeah, let me know if you need my help. I have.
okay. And I think the same person on our team worked with Jeff Otter on the redfish stuff, has worked on the hardware fault monitor, so I can get them from her. She'll have them handy. I'll put that on my to-do list. Sounds good.
I think we have somewhere referred to the legacy cell log as a kind of reference in this document, correct? Or we didn't even mention that.
I don't think we mentioned the like the IPMI SEL.
Yeah, as a more of a baseline, just kind of set the problem statement, right? Because that's what is the existing solution that we are trying to improve upon. So if we are not referred to cell log at all here, then that's fine. And if we have, then this SMBIOS DMTF spec would be a good one to just put a reference there in case somebody wants to understand what happened. And actually, there's a redfish spec also defined here.
Okay, well, I'm looking for the CPER format, so
Let me add the link that I found so far.
I pasted a link to the CPER, Drew, on the document.
okay, good. I missed that. I was looking on a different page. Okay, and I will.
Are we going to propose a new format for adding the blob of binary for some of the existing error types like memory seepers and PCIe seepers at the end?
Oh, you mean like take a standard CPER section and add some extra stuff to the end?
Right, so today, the only existing CPER section that supports adding a blob of non-defined information is the processor IA32 x64 CPER section, right? But if you look at the memory CPER, for example, or the PCIe AR CPER, it doesn't have that field. And so aligning to some of the talks we've had on the things we're working through on the other parallel work group for the fleet scale memory management. Yep. And what we talked about here on using CPER just to have hermetic error logs, all the information that is required on the CPER, I think would be useful to have that structure at the end of each of the different type of errors, or if we want to create a new one that is not necessarily distinguished between PCIe AR and memory errors and processor errors, maybe we just create one that can be used for everything. So I don't know what's the thought of this work group around that.
Can you hear my microphone? It's better?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I kind of tend to think about CPER and doing when I want to encode data, I don't think about using a standard CPER record, but creating a vendor-defined UUID section. So within a CPER record, you can have several sections. So my plan was hoping that we could agree on a CPER record where the encoded piece of data was on a vendor-defined section. So that way, whatever's in there, It doesn't alter anybody else's analysis. And whatever is the basic information, like memory errors, we use a standard memory error. I think it's called memory error 2, the super version that has enough bits to represent DDR5. So that was kind of my idea, not so much about standardizing the full format, because then I'm not encoding much. So for example, this section for Intel might say field 1, field 2, field 3, and each one of those will have some binary data in there. And under NDA, we'll tell our partners what that binary data means, but it's still architectural, right? So it's still going to be meaningful because we need to share data probably with some of other hardware vendors as well, like DIMM vendors and things like that, right? So,
Yeah,
but
and that can work, right? I mean, the consideration here is that then, you know, Drew and Anil and the MDC customers here, you'll need to grab that format that is vendor specific, pass it through the analyzer of the provided by the vendor, and then that output, if you want to pass anything back into your host, let's say you want to send some information to your operating system or your hypervisor to go offline a page, you may need to create a standard zipper from that information so that the host, you know, the OS can actually use that info and you know, apply the action, right?
So that was and so Antonio, I'm with you. I talked to Carlos about this, and I'm 100% with you that I think of the standard CPER stuff as the lowest common denominator that doesn't have the data we need to analyze things. But in terms of the OS having a chance at actually acting on it and offlining a page, you know, good luck teaching it to use a custom CPER. So if we can, you know, in my dreams, I'd have a message that, you know, a special message to the OS telling you to take this RAS action, but we don't. So that's where maybe we have to have a standard CPER section or something. I don't know. I'm open. I'd love to hear what people think.
I mean, we don't have to change anything, right? I mean, the idea here is that the CSP, the data center customer, would need to do the translation into the standard CPERs that are used by the operating systems to communicate that info, right?
Right, but I guess my point is, if we can like, is there, and maybe you all that have done more with page offlining than me can speak to this. Is there a standard CPER that will trigger a page offlining in Linux? I would be shocked if Linux offlines a page after the first corrected error in a particular address, but maybe they do. I don't know. Does someone know what the kernel?
Yeah, I've seen Linux offline a page after giving it a memory error super.
Like a
It
yeah,
single?
there's a special flag. No, there's a special flag. So
There's a flag, yeah.
you signal that one error triggers the page offlining. So there's a special flag that says this error is special, offline the page. So it's
Okay.
not
has,
any correct.
It's not any, right? But it has to recognize it as a memory error for that to work, which means you need to give it you either need to give it a memory error in some, like an MCA format that it recognizes, or you give it a memory error CPER, right? Like if you just give it some custom CPER or non-standard CPER, it's not going to offline a page because it doesn't know how to interpret it.
Yeah. So Antonio, we may want to have a standard CPER just for passing along to the OS, but in general, for analysis, I don't see that the standard CPERs are all that exciting.
No, I mean this. I think there's two levels, right? Standard, every CPER is standard CPER. We can have a standard memory section for the OS to understand. It will do nothing with our vendor-defined section. As long as you have the memory section, it's fine if I put another section with my private stuff in there. And
Yeah,
it won't
absolutely.
affect.
Yeah.
So it's still CPER, right? I'm 100% with you, it's CPER. And the one that the OS will interpret is the memory one. So that's fine. Let's have the memory one. But on top of that, I want to be able to add the rest of the things that will enable my higher debugging capabilities, right? Let's call it, I'm calling it some name, right? And I'm hoping we can do better with more data. So Yeah, but that will be definitely vendor defined.
Sounds good. I think so. It sounds like we're aligned, aren't we?
Well, I mean, just to summarize, there are two ways to approach this. One is the silicon vendor goes with a custom or vendor-defined CPER for any out-of-band reporting, right? And then the CSP customer, as an output of the vendor's analyzer, grabs the necessary information, creates a data structure that commercial OSs today can recognize as a memory error information, so that you can trigger the action of the OS offlining the page, right? And then the second one is we grab a standard CPER that we know the OS will recognize for that operation. We add a blob to the end that we can use for, that the silicon vendors can use for their custom proprietary information, right? And then, we make it such that the OS only has to look at the standard stuff.
Hey,
So,
actually, I just realized we have I think we have another thing that we'll end up wanting to do. So maybe the analyzer would generate CPERs. So let's say that I decide that I've got a lot of bad addresses. So we get a single corrected memory error, but we've gotten a single one, but we've had a chain of previous memory corrected errors. We look at those and we decide I've got a particular chunk of memory that has failed. And maybe the memory vendors would have to help us to figure this out. But we say, okay, now that I know that I've got a bad region of memory, maybe I need to map out more than one page. So we might have had a single CPER come in that triggered. It was like the last straw that broke the camel's back. It was the a one in a series of CPERs that convinced something in the analyzer that there's something bigger wrong, and I need to send a string of CPERs to map out several pages. And so what I'm thinking is, the analyzer may generate something to pass to the OS that might not be just what it got in the last error that it saw.
Yeah.
and I think that makes sense for a single instance of the analyzer. But once you start thinking about your distributed, control plane over thousands and thousands of systems, where you may have more than one instance of the analyzer, you may have better visibility. When I say use your analytics, right? Software, taking outputs from many different analyzers, and maybe now you have some decision that says, for this set of addresses, then I'm just going to go and offline it. So you might at the end still have to kind of aggregate all of the outputs, right?
Yeah, perhaps. I guess that would be pretty sophisticated. I think even if I could just do it on a machine by machine basis at scale, I would be thrilled. We would be like, if we had reliable memory analysis for error analysis that we could do for one machine and replicate 1,000,000 times, that would be amazing. And if we can do something where we look at all 1,000,000 machines and say, oh, based on 1,000,000 machines input, I think that would be heaven. But I think I'm going to need the memory vendors to get to heaven. So, Jerry, it looks like you want to say something.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the case that you mentioned, and it seems like you almost want to undo command as well, because let's say you're in a situation where you start to map out page after page due to errors, and then you realize, wait a minute, this set of errors can be fixed with a runtime PPR. And so now you want to execute the runtime PPR and then tell the OS, hey, all those pages that I told you were bad are now good again.
Yeah. That would be great. I guess what I'd say is, if I'm just talking about a few kilobytes of memory or a few megabytes of memory, maybe I can live with it. This boot, I guess it depends on if we remember the bad pages across boots too. But I agree with you, Jerry. I can conceive of, this is I'm looking at the memory analyzers. Roy, I hope you and Tony are really smart, and I don't mean to leave Samsung out, but I just don't see someone from Samsung here. But we need the really smart memory people to help us do the right thing. Roy, you look like you were going to say something. Are we scaring you, or is this, are we exciting you or scaring you?
Oh, yeah, very exciting. Anyway, if there is a proper format, we can provide our analysis result. We are very welcome.
Okay.
Yeah. 100% agreed.
I really like the idea too of saying, we got a bad part of a memory array. If I, even if it's, I don't know how many pages a row affects, but if you have a bad row and you've mapped, it could be, Jerry, like you say, we mapped out a few pages, we did a PPR. Maybe we undo the bad pages because they're good again because of the runtime PPR, or maybe that we keep mapping pages out and but tell the OS, hey, the analyzer says, hey, we're just treading water here. We think we're going to crash.
Yeah, you could do that, but remember, if your customer has an in-memory database, they're going to be upset that you're mapping out all those pages.
Do you think they'd be well? I guess are they upset if we map out 1,000 pages? That's what, 4 times 1,000.
It just depends on whether they plan on using the data in memory or not. But I assume with an in-memory database, they are.
Oh, so it could be a page in use.
Hey guys, we have been talking for almost 40 minutes, I guess. Can we share some block diagram or some section of the requirement document we have been putting together to kind of make sure we are talking about something we have been following through, or this is just a free fall discussion?
No, it totally matches figure 3 in the drawing. It's just an implementation choice. So I'll share it.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to make sure we don't lose the valuable information we are discussing here. Maybe we should start at least writing some bullets as a follow-on document or whatever you want to do.
I agree. Let's see. Well, what we need is we need a follow-on thing, or I guess what we need to do is have, we've got version 0.95, and somehow we're going to get to version 1, and then, this would be version 1.1 as we refine things. And the other thing I think you're right on, Anil, is that we need a next version because FMFM is coming, and I'm pretty sure this fault analyzer block is wrong, especially after hearing some of the FMFM discussions. There's some things we kind of missed, or maybe the chipset and memory vendors have some other ideas. So I agree. So I think what we should do is freeze this doc and then start the next version, and starting with what we've got, is if you all agree.
Yeah, and just to, I agree with you, Drew. And in the new document, right, or maybe version 1.0, let's make a bullet point. I mean, the section for each of these box. And like today, right now, we have been discussing memory section, right? So let's create a section memory error handling and start writing some bullet points that we're discussing.
Okay,
so we don't lose information.
So just as a point of order or process, Yogesh, if I make a copy of this document and say next version, or actually to be purist with Google Docs, what I would do is I would label this version, and so I can name the current version, and then we can start working on the next version. All the version histories in the one doc, and you can see the. So,
yeah, I was thinking we'll we'll finish this, and really to finish this at this point before getting into new discussions, we just have to close on the references. That was the last thing left.
Okay, we got into a deep discussion.
So I got these 3 references already. If you go to last.
Yeah, I saw that, Anil. Yeah, so we have 3 references there, and there is.
I think someone put a reference to the UFI, which actually is pointing to 2.0. So this is a very old spec reference. You may want to consider removing that.
The first one, UEFI spec, ACPI spec, that one, or
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Well,
a 2.1,
ACPI.
right? That's a
Yeah.
Yeah,
framework.
Hardware
the
fault
hardware.
manage.
This one goes there too. This is another reference. This is an OpenBMC reference. So.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay.
Then I think we got pretty much everything now, right?
Yeah, and I also wanted to be careful not to. I mean, this should really be reference that's referenced. That's why. So these things make sense. Yeah, just don't want to add a bunch of references which are not really directly referenced.
Yeah. I think these are, for the most part. I mean, the DMTF thing. Is this DMTF thing the Jeff Otter did?
No. So this is the one, Drew, where the SMBIOS, the existing cell format reference, spec is.
We don't refer to the cell though, do we, in this doc?
If we don't, then remove that. I thought we should. I mean, we did, or we should, but not then
No,
take it out.
I think the cell is not in this doc at all. But there is a redfish thing that Jeff Otter did at our request. You know, like he helped us update the spec, and we should definitely add that, because that was what he did is he gave us a pathway to embed CPR in a redfish event or something. You know, like there's a base 64 encode or a way to refer to URI. If you remember.
I just looked at, there is no reference to cell. So yeah, let's take that out, the first one.
Okay.
And can somebody ping, I think I saw Jeff on this call.
If you're looking at for the reference specifications, it's 266, and I'll post the link to it.
Perfect. That's it. Then we can close this one.
I think the UEFI spec appendix and CPR definition might be helpful.
Yes, I agree, Jerry. That's what I was saying. UEFI and ACPI, but you need both to understand CPR, really.
Well, that's number one, right? Number one has that.
No, that's just ACPI. So
No,
there's
it's under the
same
UEFI specification. Appendix N of the UEFI specification.
Exactly. So it's on the same website. It's just.
Drew, that
I think we need link for both. Yeah, we need link for both, right?
Yeah. So let me see.
The number first reference has the appendix N. Basically, that is the complete spec, and it's good to just have a reference to the complete spec rather than just one section.
Let's see. Okay, I whenever I've looked at, there were, you're looking at the ACPI spec, and I think Jerry and I are talking about the UEFI spec.
That ACPI spec has been rolled into UEFI, right? And let me go back.
They are different, though. They're different specs.
Let me check.
So if you look at Appendix N, I'll put the link. It really is it's a different doc on the same site, and it's important. I've looked at this. So I'll put it. If we find we don't need it, we can take it out. But I'm with Jerry. I have the same understanding that he does.
Actually, you are right. My bad. Yeah.
It looks really similar. It's just UEFI instead of ACPI.
Yeah. It says UEFI spec 2.9, which is the latest one. Yeah.
No, I got 2.10 off the site just now.
So the year even.
Did I mess up?
No, you should have a latest one. The one I have is March 2021.
Okay.
So which is 2.9. If you have 2.10, then that should be the even latest version.
August
So then
29th.
we should remove the ACPI spec. Well, actually, ACPI spec does have some of the table, right? It has table and all that discussion.
It's fine to leave. I mean, it's relevant. I'm fine. Whenever I tell people about CPR, I tell them to look at both.
Right.
So it's fine with me. I think it's reasonable. I don't think it really matters. It doesn't really hurt. And the ACPI spec is relevant to CPR. So I don't think there's an issue. It's just you have to have.
And has table is referred in this document. I saw that, right? As part of this interface between BMC and OS.
Yes. So I think we're good. I think we have the references. This looks right. Although
I think John also pasted that red fisher. Let's just add that here.
Let me. Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, you note that the reference spec, which was the first one, doesn't actually reference CPR. I did a grep of it. The second one does because it was actually added to the data model.
That was okay. Thank you. I'm just fixing this, and then let me grab that. Thank you so much, John.
Before anybody has any other ideas, let's freeze this one.
Yeah, well, maybe I just named the. Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Oh, it did something weird. Okay. I guess it's too long, but there we go. Okay. So there we go. We've got the references, and
we've got them all. Very good.
Yeah, I think we're done. This is the way to do it. I accidentally deleted the comment, but I think that's fine. We've got the specs.
Yep, we got them all. Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Okay. So remaining 8 minutes. What do we want to talk now and next week?
So I
do want to mention. I think I see one new person on the call that hasn't been here before. Jyotika. Hi.
Yes. New folks, please go ahead and introduce.
Oh yeah. We're just talking away. We don't mean to ignore you.
Sorry, I didn't introduce myself. This is Jyotika. Today I'm with Synopsys in the SLM architecture group.
Awesome. Thank you for joining. I think, didn't you join us last week too?
Yes. I joined for a bit I was late last time as well. Sorry, I didn't announce myself.
I was on vacation last week, so that was my fault for not seeing you last week. I wasn't here.
So yeah, welcome. We are and I think in terms of ASIC IP, I think this is great. If anything we're doing here can be standardized to the point where we have IP blocks that create standard logs. Anything that Synopsys does, we need to debug. If you send it to Google, right? If we have a Google part with Synopsys IP and I deploy something in the data center and it breaks, we want to debug it. So I'm excited to have you here because we want to debug your stuff with you. So thank you. We're really excited.
Great. Looking forward to it. Sorry for the dumb question here, but I didn't know where this document is.
It's on our website. What I'll do is I'll send you a direct link to the document for now. And can someone send I don't have the website handy. Can someone send the OCP website for this group? Do you have it handy?
I got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and we welcome that we're kind of freezing the version 1 of this document. We've been working on it for a really long time, but we're going to keep going, and we'd love your input.
Sounds great. I appreciate it. I'll go ahead and review it.
So one thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up, I think that I was talking to Antonio. We have a couple of OCP presentations that we need to really put together frantically. So Yogesh, I think you and I are on the hook to give kind of a summary of the work stream. I'll grab some time with you. And I think what I'd like to do is if we can try to have it like kind of a first pass to review with the group next week, that would be good, and get feedback. And, but I think what we're just going to do is summarize progress for that presentation.
If you have a couple of minutes, I can just flash outline of the presentation that we are planning from Meta.
Sure. Who is this? The one with George?
This is the one not with George. This is the Meta Grand Teton machine learning AI platform, RAS.
Oh, okay.
Do you have time right now? I know we are kind of 4 minutes.
If you can do it in 4 minutes.
Well, yeah, I mean, just an outline, right? Not a.
Yeah. Sounds. I mean, it's fine. I have no objection if no one else does. I guess one thing I would say, Anil, is I wouldn't present it to OCP in the context of this effort because we really haven't seen this yet. But it'd be good to see it. I think we're interested.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way we will present it. This is a learning from Meta and inspired by hardware fault management sub-project group.
I love it. I love the sound of that.
So let me share.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, I meant to stop sharing. Thank you for kicking me out.
Can you see?
Yes.
Let me just move this window. So this is the Grand Teton platform that Meta has developed. And there will be a lot of presentations disclosing this platform in more details in Global Summit. And this topic is about the RAS proposed solution to improve reliability by containing the impact of PCI encrypted errors. And the outline, I'm going to share the outline only, that's it. So we'll go through the AI/ML cluster overview, 2 slides. By the way, I presented part of this at the regional summit as well. And that was only 20 minutes, so focus was very quick. I mean, a very quick discussion. And Global Summit will go a little more deeper. So the fault domains in this kind of AI/ML cluster machines, and then error handling, a few examples, and the call to action. So I have few slides talking about the cluster overview, and then a little more detail into how that one single rack looks like. And the key message to communicate is that in these machines, there's a pretty deep hierarchy of PCI devices. And therefore, PCI errors is one of the big area to focus on. So bringing that message back, and what are the PCI errors that, what are the fault domains in the PCI domain, PCI device hierarchy, bit errors, bus faults, internal errors, and giving a little more deeper overview of how the link integrity is handled through the spec-defined concepts. And ECRC is one of the feature that I presented at the regional summit in more detail. In the global summit, I'm going to, because of the focus of containment, I plan to go deeper into the DPC flow. How it is implemented, what are challenges we face, so like more of a case study, and ultimately what is the final solution we put together. And call to action is basically inspired, a lot of inspiration about how we developed the solution really came from the discussion we have been having for the last several years in this forum.
This is awesome. And Anil, I am ready to talk IO in more detail. So, I think we need to figure out how to start that too. So thank you.
Sure. Yeah. Any thoughts, comments? I know we are right at the top of the hour.
Hey, Neil, can you go back to slide 10 for a sec? Just so I could look at it.
Yeah, this is really the ECRC flow.
Yep.
Just a placeholder.
Okay.
I think you have seen Vilas, right?
Yeah. I mean, just trying to read the slide.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
Cool. Thanks. Once I have a 0.5 version cleaned up, then I'll upload it also, so that other folks can take a look at it, provide feedback.
Awesome. Thank you. So, and just in case you didn't see Yogesh's message, I want to highlight it. He sent a link for joining our group, and this group is how OCP sends messages. So it's kind of our mailing list. So if you want to be on our mailing list, join the group that Yogesh linked in the chat.
Great, thank you very much.
Hey, thank you. This is awesome. This is one of the things I look forward to every week. It's fun to, there's so few people that care about this stuff. It's fun to have a group of people that does. So, and thank you. Thanks again.
Drew, I was watching your video from the RAS API call on Tuesday because I could not join. Antonio hears me. He didn't invited me. So that was good, actually. I never watch videos recording, but I watched it.
Awesome.
Good discussion.
Hey, that's the exciting thing. We found our group. I mean, this is the group of people that does the stuff I love. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks. I think it's time for Vilas to get his drink, and I'm gonna have to get one after I fly home. I can't fly and drink, but anyway, mine's coming after when I get back home, Vilas.
Excellent. All right.
Right.
I will raise my glass to you as well.
Likewise. Okay. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, everyone.
You too.
Thank you. Bye.